A lone warrior stands on a mountain of bodies in a blizzard. His father confronts him on the battlefield, calling him Ash. This father asks, I had you leading the Eastern Subjugation Force. Why are you here? Ash just grits his teeth, clutching a wound in his side. He looks up, his eyes burning with rage, and says he is here to strike him down. Ash accuses him. You planned to use my men as bait from the beginning, did not you? You meant to throw us away. Am I wrong? His voice cracks as he calls out to his father. Geez, the father's reply is just brutal. That is what the Wingless are good for, is not that right, my foolish son? And so we meet our boy, Ash A. Elmheim. This Elmheims are the continent's greatest martial house. Guardians of the royal family, its head is Rodrick A. Elmheim, Ash's father. This story goes that Rodrick found Ash dying in a blizzard and saved his life. To repay that debt, Ash did everything he was asked. But well, it seems talent was never on his side. His siblings mocked him for having no crest, for being wingless. These wing crests grant magical power, and Ash was the only one in the house who could not use magic. They just called him wingless. Even so, our boy kept training with his sword relentlessly. He pushed his body past every limit he had. He truly believed that one day his devotion would be rewarded. But then came the subjugation mission in the snowy woods. Ash sensed something was off, a trap waiting to be sprung, and yeah, they were ambushed, completely surrounded, so he asks his father, all this time I followed you, believing in you, is this your answer? Man, what a betrayal. What does a tool expect? Your purpose is served, now leave. Our boy is bloodied, but his eyes are filled with pure rage. He leaps through the air, sword raised high, screaming at his father. He thinks back on his misplaced trust. And he calls himself a fool for ever believing in them. This father just smirks. A tiny cut on his neck is nothing to him. Suddenly glowing red chains erupt and bind our boy's arms, but he unleashes a blast of energy, sending his two attackers flying. He screams in agony as the power surges through him. One of his brothers mocks him from afar. In the end, Wingless is just wingless. This three of them stand over him. Crawling on the ground like that suits you perfectly. He collapses into the snow. If you were going to throw me away anyway, why did you take me in? This father kneels down. Do not flatter yourself. I never had any use for you from the start. He grabs our boy by the hair, yanking his head up, and he reveals the truth. What I needed was the power of the 7 wings dwelling in your body. This kid is stunned. He can only repeat the words. The 7 wings. This father continues his cold explanation. Your mother was quite useful. He says she gave him the seed he needed for his plans. Our boy reaches out desperately as his father walks away, but one of the brothers steps forward, raising his sword to finish the job. He screams his father's name. Answer me, Rodrick. His hand falls into the snow. He can only feel the cold. His vision fades. He asks himself, am I going to die here? He wonders what the point of his entire life was. Then he is a child again, surrounded by warmth and light. It is a memory of being held as a baby in the freezing snow. He realizes this is not a dream. This is really happening. He wakes up freezing in a blizzard, wondering where he is. He looks down at his own body, and it is incredibly small. He flexes his tiny hand, disbelieving it is his own. He is not just small, he is literally a baby being held by someone, and the woman holding him, man, she is not moving at all. Suddenly, he hears a voice in the distance, a command to search. A group of men on horseback are plowing through the storm. This leader yells they must find the woman and recover the infant she took. Our boy hears everything, his eyes wide with shock, and that name, Duke Rodrick, it triggers a memory of a harsh-looking man. He puts it together. They are looking for the infant. They are looking for him. He remembers his own story, being found in a blizzard, and he wonders if he went back in time. The sound of the approaching horses gets louder. But there is no time to think about that now. He has to act. If he stays here with this woman, the Duke's men will find him, so with all his might, he tries to crawl away from her. A strange power begins to glow from his hands as he pushes forward. His tiny hands are burning hot, melting the snow beneath him, but his infant body is weak. He can barely breathe in the cold. This heat from his limbs is intense, but it is not enough. He is losing strength, barely able to move at all. But damn it, he refuses to give up. He will survive this. A flash of memory, reaching for that same man, Rodrick, who turned his back on him, and that memory fuels his resolve. He will not fail again. A long trail is dragged through the snow by a tiny body. He collapses at the feet of a woman in a green dress. Poor guy, a young girl with white hair calls out, over here, father. This man is introduced as Viscount Hifried, and he looks serious. He picks up the baby. Why is there an infant in a place like this? He asks. This Viscount looks down at the sleeping child in his arms. His eyes widen as he seems to realize something. He sees the long trail in the snow. Came all this distance, he thinks. He holds the baby. Just who is this child? He wonders. This baby sleeps on, completely unaware of the situation. Our boy's consciousness drifts. He sees another baby with red hair. This red-haired child reaches for him. He thinks it has come to take him. He thinks it is an angel, but no, someone is just pinching his nose. He wakes up surrounded by 4 girls. One says, the little one woke up. They all swarm him at once. Man, he looks completely overwhelmed. This white-haired girl holds him as he struggles. He is not happy. He pushes away and stands on a table, looking very defiant for a baby. Then he makes a break for it, crawling away as fast as he can. One of the girls looks shocked. Damn it, what is happening? She yells. He crawls frantically down a long hall with the 4 girls chasing him in his panic. A golden aura suddenly explodes around him. His eyes glow a bright, powerful gold. A blast of energy launches him into the air. He thinks, this is magic. He tumbles through the air, still surrounded by the golden light, but now he is falling. I cannot control it. I am falling, he thinks. He lands right in the arms of Viscount Hifried. This Viscount looks down at him. What a peculiar child, he says. Ash's eyes go wide with shock. He knows this man. It is Viscount Hifried, Duke Roderick's older brother, and he realizes this must be the other Elmheim house. This is Hifried Elmheim, head of the Viscount house, a branch of the main family. He and his brother Rodrick were once known as the Twin Wings, but in Ash's time, Viscount Hifried died in a civil war. His whole house collapsed. And now Ash is certain he has really gone back to the past. Man, he tried to escape the Duke's house only to be picked up by his brother. A woman with red hair holds him. She says his magic must have gone out of control. She just smiles warmly. She seems to understand. She tells him he must have been scared, but it is all right now. Ash just stares. He is not used to this kind of warmth. Viscount Hifried watches them with a gentle smile. He says this child harbors tremendous power. And he reveals a mark on Ash's arm as proof. This woman gasps in shock. 7 wings, she says. Ash stares at his own arm. He cannot believe it is there. His eyes burn with a sudden realization. He remembers Roderick's words about needing the power of the 7 wings. He remembers being found in that blizzard, and it all clicks into place. Roderick took him in just to steal that power. After tearing the wings from him, that man dared to call him Wingless. This woman looks down at him, completely unaware of the storm brewing in his mind. This woman holding him asks the Viscount, "What will you do with this child?" Our boy is sweating. He knows this is bad. He thinks he cannot let this power fall into the Elmheim's hands. He needs it for his revenge, and the Viscount makes his decision. "I will take him in as my adopted son." Ash just looks up, completely stunned by the declaration. This Viscount reaches out a hand towards him. He gently pats the kid's head. This child is still a fledgling who cannot even fly on his own yet, he tells his wife. Until the day he tries to take flight of his own will, I will take responsibility for raising him. Our boy's golden eye just shines with a new light. One of the girls suddenly trips and falls to the floor. This Viscount turns to the pile of children. "Were you listening? You too?" This girls get up looking embarrassed. "We were worried about him." This whole family gathers around. One of the girls calls out to her mother. This little red-haired girl asks, "What is his name?" This mother smiles warmly. "Let us see." She holds him up to the moonlight. Asura, the name of a new star born into our family. And just like that, 10 years fly by. A man greets the older Viscount Hifried. "We have been expecting you, Lord Hifried." Behind him, a young boy helps someone out of a carriage. And there he is, our boy Asura, now a confident young man, the sound of his feet landing firmly on the ground. He turns and helps a red-haired girl. "Sister Ulfin, watch your step." She smiles at him. "Yes, thank you, Asura." A memory of her as a baby flashes by. This two of them walk side by side, both carrying swords. Asura looks ahead with a determined glint in his eye. Ash and a girl with pink hair are heading to an event, the Sword Dance Gathering. It is an annual event hosted by a duke under the Elmheim banner. Basically a big social gathering for all the noble warrior houses, but it is also a place of intense rivalry between the families. A chance for the young swordsmen to show off and uphold their family names. And yeah, the moment they arrive, the whole crowd is staring them down. This whispers start immediately, mocking the Viscount for adopting a boy with no background. They wonder how much more he will drag the Elmheim name through the mud. Geez, tough crowd. Ash just looks up at the massive estate, thinking about the one who lives there. This pink-haired girl tells him not to let their words get to him. She clenches her fist. "Here, those who show weakness get crushed first." Ash seems to take her words to heart, standing firm beside her. This Viscount explains that this is their house's current position. They are looked down on. He stands before the gates. "I wanted you to see this." He turns to Ash and asks, "Are you disappointed?" But Ash just grins, his eyes glowing gold. "This kind of cold reception suits me just fine." This Viscount just laughs. He seems pleased with that answer. Ash remembers his past life, being defeated and humiliated right here. He thinks about his terrible social debut, but now he has his 7 wings back. He is different. His golden eyes burn with a new kind of fire. This 3 of them walk towards the mansion, ready to face what is inside, and look who it is. 2 of his former brothers are watching from a window. Ash's expression is unreadable as he walks forward, completely focused. They make their way towards the entrance. "Time for round 2, Ash smirks. "Let us make a spectacular social debut, shall we?" Damn, he is ready. We are in a grand hall where knights are dueling. A young blonde-haired knight swings his sword with fierce determination. His opponent, a red-haired knight, matches his intensity. In this world, knights prove their power through swordsmanship and they gain splendor through fame, a classic combo. This 2 of them continue their intense duel in front of a huge crowd. They leap through the air, ready to clash, but what truly demonstrates both is something else entirely. This blonde knight unleashes a powerful blue slash, and his opponent is completely overwhelmed by the attack. This ultimate symbol of power is the family's wing crest, a glowing mark on the back of the hand, just like the Elmheims had. We cut to a balcony where a group is watching. An older man calls the place intimidating. 2 girls named Fren and Freya apparently refuse to come. Cannot blame them. A young man with black hair and golden eyes looks on. He seems to be remembering something unpleasant. Yeah, a memory of being defeated, humiliated in front of everyone. A red-haired girl next to him calls out his name. Astor. She asks if he is nervous since it is his first sword dance gathering, but Astor just smiles. He says it feels nostalgic. This girl is clearly confused by that answer. This older man, Viscount Hifried, tells Astor to look after his sister Ulfin. Ulfin protests that she is older, but Astor just calls her clumsy. This Viscount tells Astor to use this as a chance to make connections. Then he leans in with a warning, just do not let anyone catch on about the 7 wings. This Viscount walks off, leaving Astor and Ulfin alone on the balcony. Man, the moment they step inside, the whole room is just glaring at them with pure hostility, he thinks. With such an openly hostile atmosphere, there's no way to make connections. But then his expression shifts, a determined glint in his golden eye. He starts walking off. Ulfin calls out to him, Astor, where are you going? He just keeps walking and says he is going to make friends. He heads straight down the stairs towards a group of guys lounging on a couch. A red-haired guy on the couch looks up at him. Who are you? Astor leans in with a confident smirk. Nice to meet you, Brother Daris. He introduces himself with a smile. Astor F. Elmheim, I am your younger brother. Daris looks annoyed. Astor continues. I saw you from outside, so I thought I'd say hello. Another guy chimes in. He is that adopted kid, brother, the one the Viscount house picked up, and Daris just snaps. So that is why you have the nerve to call yourself an F, and Astor remembers, Daris and Grian, heirs of the Elmheim house, and the two who killed him in his past life. He thinks to himself, back then, they seemed so terrifying, but now he sees them for what they are, just a bunch of kids playing pretend. His golden eye just glows with this newfound confidence. Ulfin runs up and grabs his arm. Come on, let us go back, you said hello, did not you? But Daris calls out to her. Hey, Ulfin, you are here too, and she just freezes. He mocks her. Not hiding behind Daddy today, come over here and entertain us. He adds that it is an order from the main house, but Ulfin turns around, her eyes glowing. I refuse, there is no master-servant relationship between the main house and branch family. Before she can do anything rash, Astor grabs her arm. Wait, sister, he holds her wrist tight. I am not done talking. His expression is cold, determined. Daris just grins like a maniac, his eyes glowing red. You know what? A red-haired noble starts mocking them. He says their father failed to protect the king, and as punishment, his own younger brother cut off his arm. Ulfin looks down in shame. This guy smirks. I am so glad I do not have that loser's blood running through my veins. Geez, that is cold. Ulfin snaps, grabbing the guy by his collar. Take that back, she screams, but the guy just spits his drink all over her face. She yells that she will not let him insult her father. He keeps going, saying her house only produces useless girls, and her father must be disappointed. He holds out his glass. Next time, you should wear some rags so you will not mind getting wet. Ulfin just stands there, stained and humiliated, but her eyes are full of fire. Astor watches the whole thing. He says he was worried on the way here. He thought that seeing their faces again, he might not feel any anger at all. In a flash, he snatches the wine bottle from one of the other nobles. Ulfin looks up at him. He just says, but I am glad. He calls out to the main bully, hey Daris, and then casually tosses the bottle in the air. It lands perfectly on Daris' head with a loud thud. Astor draws his sword in a blur. You are still the same pieces of trash. He slices the bottle clean in half, drenching the guy in red wine. Astor stands over them, his sword still out. One of the lackeys yells out for his brother. He wipes a drop from his lip. Oh, just grape juice. He gives them a chilling smile. Perfect for little baby nobles, do not you think? Damn, what a line. We flash back 3 years. Astor is training as Viscount Hifried tells him to control his power. In the memory, one of his sisters is hurt. The other cries, are you trying to kill your sisters? Hold on tight. This girls are huddled in fear as his golden aura rages out of control. This is the power of the 7 wings, a dangerous and immense force. Viscount Hifried stands firm with his sword, wondering if he can even control it. A young Astor is lost in the power, his eyes glowing, asking if they can control it together. A guard bursts into a room. Master, this is terrible. Viscount Hifried is in a conference. He asks what is going on. This guard says the sons of the Elmheim main and branch houses are dueling. This Viscount's eyes go wide. He just says, what? And across the room, Duke Rodrick looks just as furious. This Viscount immediately gets up and rushes out. Ulfin calls out to her father. She runs after him. Ulfin, what happened? A big guy with a grin just points. Look, over there. And yeah, down in the courtyard, Astor is facing off against one of the Duke's sons. This Viscount and Ulfin watch from the balcony. The big guy says this could get interesting. A blonde noble looks nervous, while a guy with blue hair just smirks in the background. This big guy finishes his thought. This sword dance gathering is going to get ugly. Down below, the red-haired cousin is mocking Astor, calling him a stray-born mutt. This crowd murmurs about the Duke's son. He has a powerful 4-wing crest. He points his sword at Astor. Come on, show me your wing crest. He asks if Astor is too embarrassed to show it after seeing his, but our boy just smirks. Showing off a mere pattern so proudly is embarrassing. I could not do something like that. Man, the cousin is absolutely livid. His eye is glowing with rage. Astor raises the stakes. If I win, you are apologizing to my sister. Got it, cousin? The cousin agrees. If he wins, Astor becomes his dog. This cousin leaps into the air. I will work you to the bone. Their swords clash with incredible force. The cousin looks completely unhinged. Astor holds his ground, parrying the attack with his own power. He stands ready, calm and collected in the swirling dust. This cousin channels a massive amount of red energy into his blade. He unleashes a powerful slash, and the two of them are locked in a struggle. Ulfin leans over the balcony railing, yelling Astor's name in worry. A burly man in the crowd smirks. Young Master Daris' swordsmanship is still immature, but it does not matter. The overwhelming magic of a wing crest makes up for any lack of skill. This narration explains the power scale. If one wing is a candle, then this red-haired kid's 4 wings are a full-blown explosion. He taunts his opponent with a manic grin. What happened to all that bravado from before? Astor just blocks the attack, his golden eyes glowing as the kid keeps yelling. This red-haired kid named Daris gets low. Show me your power, he screams. A man with a fancy mustache in the crowd just laughs. The match is decided, he says, a close-up on a sword glowing with a cool blue light. Astor and Daris clash in a flurry of red, blue, and gold energy. Daris' eyes go wide with shock as Astor easily holds him back. Astor looks completely unimpressed. You talk too much, he says, and then he just spins and kicks Daris right in the chest, sending him flying. Astor stands ready, his sword held low, surrounded by a swirling golden aura. He thinks about the 10 years he spent learning to control his magic, all for this moment of revenge. His eyes burn with determination as he prepares his next move. He leaps forward in a blur of golden light, overwhelming Daris' defense. Daris can barely stand, his legs buckling under the pressure. One of his brothers in the crowd watches in disbelief. Astor presses his attack, pushing Daris back with a massive wave of power. Daris is panicking. He cannot believe he is losing. He has 4 wings, but Astor is just calm, focused, and ready to end this. He unleashes a huge blast of golden energy from his sword. This crowd is stunned. Could he actually win this? Daris is being completely dominated. Astor's golden slash completely shatters Daris' defense, sending him flying back. This crowd is in shock. The Elmheim still have someone like that. Astor's eyes are locked on his target, his golden aura swirling around him. Up on the balcony, Viscount Hifried just says, "This is bad." Daris struggles against the onslaught, his face twisted in a desperate grimace. Astor remembers his past life, his arm being severed by a maniacal swordsman. He remembers that man's terrifying grin as he held the sword, and that memory fuels his power. His golden aura explodes with rage. Daris screams at him to stop, but it is too late. From the balcony, Ulfin yells out, "No, Astor." A massive shockwave of golden energy erupts from the clash. This burly man from the balcony watches with his arms crossed, looking intrigued. Astor lands gracefully as his sword scrapes against the stone floor. He throws Daris' own words back at him. "Next time, you should wear some rags so you will not mind getting wet. Cousin." He looks down at his defeated cousin, his golden eyes cold and empty. He thinks to himself, "I am not the wingless Ash anymore." Ulfin leans on the railing, relieved. She thinks this is enough to clear her head for now. Astor allows himself a small, satisfied smile. But then his eye widens. He senses a powerful presence. His gaze sweeps across the hall, a red tint coloring his vision. He looks up towards the main staircase. That is, and there he is, Duke Rodrick, standing at the top of the stairs like a demon king. Astor's face hardens. He says the name under his breath. "Rodrick." This crowd is in an uproar. "I cannot believe that youngest son from the Viscount house actually beat the main house's 3rd son." Duke Rodrick stares down at the scene, his expression absolutely furious, but this has gotten bad after having his reputation crushed. There is no way he will stay quiet, and yeah, the head of the Elmheim main house himself has arrived. Daris just sits on the ground, laughing like a maniac now that his dad is here. Astor stands firm, facing the man who killed him in his past life. Duke Rodrick looks down at the scene, and he is not happy, but our boy Astor does not even flinch. Daris scrambles across the floor towards his father. He grabs onto the Duke's leg, calling out, "Father," he points at Astor. "It is him, that filthy mutt who dared defy the main house." He begs his father to use his power and put Astor in his place, but instead, the Duke slams his hand down right on top of Daris. Daris screams in agony as his hand is crushed against the stone floor. This crowd of young nobles just watches in complete shock. Even Ulfin is horrified by the Duke's cruelty to his own son. This Duke looms over him, asking why the one who lost the duel is groveling like an idiot. From the balcony, Viscount Hifried screams, "Stop it, stop, Rodrick." This Duke says someone who cannot even avenge himself has no right to wield a sword. Geez, that is cold. This whole grand hall is just silent. Daris is left on the floor, clutching his broken hand. This Duke's eye just glows with a cold fury. He turns his sword on Astor. "What do you think you are doing?" Astor just says, "My cousin still has not apologized to my sister." He looks the Duke right in the eye. "Could you save the punishment for after that, uncle?" This Duke scoffs. "I heard you were an orphan picked up by Hifried, and now you think you are part of the Elmheims." But Astor stands tall. "I am the Viscount's son, even without blood ties. I have been thoroughly taught by my father." And up on the balcony, Duke Rodrick is watching, and he is not happy. He appears before Astor in a flash of red energy. "So you, as a member of the Viscount house, needlessly damaged the main house's reputation." Viscount Hifried watches from above, looking seriously concerned. This man with the mustache agrees. "You should understand this is not something," and the blue-haired guy adds, "that can be dismissed as a children's quarrel." He seems to be enjoying this way too much. Duke Rodrick brings up the past. "Your father offered up one arm as the price for his disloyalty." He holds his sword to Astor's throat. "What will you offer?" Geez, this guy is intense, but Astor speaks up. "With all due respect, uncle," he does not back down. "This was not a brotherly quarrel but a legitimate duel. I simply answered with my sword the insults against our Viscount house." Rodrick just glares, his eyes glowing with pure rage. Astor throws the Duke's own words back at him. "One who cannot even avenge himself has no right to wield a sword. Those were your words, uncle, were they not?" Damn. Up on the balcony, Ulfin is trembling. Her father stands beside her. This blue-haired noble just laughs. "He is only 10, you have got to be kidding." Duke Rodrick is just stunned into silence. His eye is literally twitching. He finally says, "I see," and then he draws his own sword. Oh no. He points it at our boy. Then draw your sword. Man, he is really going to fight a kid. Astor is completely shocked. He was not expecting this. His eyes go wide as the Duke prepares to strike him down. A massive sword slams into the ground right where Astor was standing. Ulfin screams in terror, covering her mouth, but look who it is. Viscount Hifried is absolutely livid. Rodrick, he screams. He leaps from the balcony, sword drawn, ready to intercept his own brother. And their swords clash. A massive shockwave of blue and gold energy erupts between them. These two brothers are locked in a fierce struggle. Hifried is protecting Astor. Viscount Hifried lands in front of our boy. Astor, are you all right, Astor? A massive dark blade stands alone in a desolate, icy landscape. Viscount Hifried watches the duel, his face pale with shock and worry. Astor struggles to his feet, bruised but not broken, his sword held tight. His golden eye burns with pure rage. He is not done yet, up on the balcony. Duke Rodrick looks down with a cold, calculating expression. He turns his back on the fight as if the outcome is already decided, and then he leaps from the balcony, landing in the courtyard where his son lies defeated. Viscount Hifried can only watch as his brother intervenes. He rushes to Astor's side, calling his name as the boy collapses. Astor looks up, bloodied but triumphant. I protected it properly, father, my promise and everything else. This Viscount looks at him with pride. You were magnificent. Duke Rodrick drags his defeated son up the stairs. The party is definitely over. Another noble smirks at the Duke. That was quite childish of you, Rodrick, he says. If Rodrick had not stopped it, the main house's reputation would have been ruined, a decent compromise. But the damage is done. Astor made a bold declaration against a duke and survived. He is a rising star now, this noble's gossip for Astor. This was the best possible social debut, even if it risked splitting the family. Roderick's eyes glow red. He thinks an age of upheaval is coming, a storm that will split the world. Ulfin rushes to her brother's side. The Viscount holds him up, and our boy just smiles through the pain, and with that, the scene shifts to a bright, clear day. A group of young knights watch someone train, looking completely impressed. It is Astor, of course, easily disarming an opponent with a wooden sword. One of the knights winks. Magnificent, Master Astor. Astor just stands there, looking cool and collected. This knights talk amongst themselves, saying his skill is terrifying for a 10-year-old, and he has been training harder since the gathering. One of them adds the big news. He heard Astor beat down Duke Roderick's own son. One of the knights says the main house has made them drink bitter medicine for so long, and that this is a refreshing story. Astor thinks back to the gathering. He showed them more than enough power and presence. He thinks this should silence the people who called his house a disgrace, but his real target is still the Elmheims. He continues his thought. He really wanted to test how far his abilities would go. He lands a solid blow on his opponent. He wanted to test them right there at that gathering, but he remembers his past self. He knows that as he is now, he cannot beat Rodrick. His golden eyes just burn with a cold determination. He thinks that in the end, wing crests are just indicators of hidden magic, and that innate magic is wasted if you cannot control it. A lesson he learned the hard way. He still cannot draw out the full power of his 7 wings. He wishes he could test it. He wants to test it to his heart's content, without worrying about losing control. He swings his wooden sword with incredible force, sending his sparring partner flying. His eyes are locked on his goal. He is not messing around. His wooden sword smacks the ground, kicking up dust. This training ground is just littered with defeated knights. Astor calls out for the next challenger. A guy with black and white hair watches from the side. Going all out again, I see. A red-haired woman walks up. She says Astor does not know restraint and their father is calling for him. Astor looks up from the field of bodies. He says he will go right away. He looks over at the red-haired woman and comments on her outfit. She turns her head, asking what he means. He says it is unusual. I thought you did not want to wear it because it was not cute. She says balance is important, and watching him made her realize she cannot stay the same either. Astor looks genuinely surprised by her words. She grabs his wooden sword with a grin. When you get back, you are going to keep me company. And our boy just gives her a warm, genuine smile. Astor stands in a training yard surrounded by defeated knights. Please go easy on me. Yeah, right. Later on, a hand knocks on an ornate door. Astor enters a lavish office. Excuse me. Viscount Hifried is waiting for him. Astor asks his father what he needs. The Viscount just tells him to have a seat. Our boy sits down, looking a little tense. This Viscount starts the conversation. It has been 10 years since we welcomed you into our family. He says he thought about waiting until Astor was older, but things have changed. He places a small cushion on the desk. Astor asks what it is. On the cushion sits a massive, sparkling red ring. This Viscount explains, the proof of the next head of house. He looks at Astor. Astor, I want you to inherit the Viscount house. Damn, Astor's eyes just glow. This Viscount explains that their house is in a delicate position, but they are still a branch of the Elmheim family and they have a territory to protect. He says they cannot leave the head of house position vacant forever. Astor asks the important question. Are my sisters okay with this? His father says his sisters return from night school in 3 days and he plans to tell everyone then. Astor thinks of his sisters, Marfa and Kudo. They look pretty formidable. He smirks to himself. He knows they will not be happy, and that sister Kudo will be especially angry. This Viscount sighs. He says Kudo dislikes him just for being born male and for having the 7 wings. Astor stands up suddenly. I cannot accept this. He turns away, saying he cannot even control his own magic. He calls himself a fool who nearly killed his sister. He says someone like him has no confidence to convince an angry sister, but the Viscount just smiles knowingly. He says, I have often wondered from long ago if you are really a child. He pulls out a wooden box. He says he thought the ring would be a reward, but it seems Astor would be happier with this instead. Astor's golden eye widens. He asks what that is. His father opens a box to reveal a sword, the magic sword Graham, a blade that can control the 7 wings power. This Viscount leads Astor into a forest clearing. He says this spot should do. Astor asks why they are not in the training hall. His father just says it is a precaution. He reminds Astor that he breaks things quite often, with a flashback to a cracked wall. This Viscount explains this is a legendary blade passed down through the Elmheim family, and he brought it for Astor. He grips the hilt tightly. A small glint of light shines from it. Astor just looks on in complete shock. His father holds it up. It has no blade. He asks if you can even call it a sword. But then he channels magic into it, and a massive red energy blade erupts from the hilt. He says the sword is completed by its wielder's magic. It is a blade of potential. He gives it a single swing, unleashing a huge wave of red energy, and yeah, it carves a massive tunnel straight through the forest. Damn, but he warns that with weak magic, the sword will drain you dry. It is a cursed blade. He holds the hilt out to our boy, asking if he will try it. Astor takes the sword from his father's hands. He focuses, pouring his own magic into the bladeless hilt. A massive burst of golden energy explodes from him. He grunts from the sheer force of it. He realizes his magic is flowing into the sword on its own. Back at the training grounds, a thin beam of red light shoots into the sky. One of the knights asks if a comet fell. The other says no, something flew up. A red-haired woman watches them bicker. She knows exactly who it is. She says it is definitely Astor back in the woods. Astor sits on the ground, looking at the sword with a grin. This is quite the sword. His father looks on, a little nervous. He asks what is so extraordinary. Viscount Hifried tells Astor that this immense power is his. He says that in the entire history of the Elmheim family, no one has ever possessed a 7-wing crest. He promises that if Astor masters it, he will surpass even 6-winged warriors like himself and Rodrick. Astor thinks about it. He could actually surpass the man who killed him, but his father warns him. But power that is too great always breeds conflict. He says that if people find out he has 7 wings, everyone will either envy him or resent him. Man, that is a heavy burden. Some will scheme to use him, while others will try to eliminate him as a threat. So to avoid regretting his powerlessness when that time comes, he tells Astor to get stronger now. Astor takes his hand, thinking he will not live a miserable life like his past one anymore. He thanks his father. I will master these 7 wings no matter what. 3 days later, the Viscount and his family are gathered in the main hall. A red-haired woman with a ton of confidence announces her return. She looks absolutely thrilled to be home. She opens her arms wide. Come, my dear little sisters, give your big sister a welcome home hug. But the 2 younger girls run right past her to hug another woman. Ouch, this red-haired woman stands there, completely ignored. This little one's complain. Because Sister Kudo always messes up our hair, she looks offended. I have perfectly mastered knightly etiquette. I would never do something so improper. And then she spots Ulfin standing quietly by the stairs. She immediately lunges at her, pulling her into a massive hug. Ulfin struggles as her sister basically puts her in a headlock. This white-haired sister watches this and then asks where Astor is. This Viscount just says, oh, that boy, looking a little awkward. His sister Kudo just watches him from the side, her expression unreadable, and then we see a massive pillar of red energy erupting from the ground. It is Astor, struggling to control the sword Graham as it unleashes its power. He grits his teeth, covered in sweat. Damn, I cannot do it. He thinks he can create the blade with magic, but suppressing it takes everything he has. He stands in a crater of his own making, wondering how his father does it so easily, and then a voice calls out, My, going all out again, I see. It is Kudo. Astor turns around, surprised. Sister Kudo, you are back. She says he did not even come to greet her. She gives him a smug grin. How cold of you. She asks if he thinks he is so special now. She heard all about the gathering and how proud their father is. Astor tries to change the subject. Sister, you are the one. Even as a trainee, you have gone on numerous missions and excelled. He points out the honor medal on her uniform, saying she was the only knight to receive it this year. Kudo just scoffs. Well, if I could not do at least that much, I could not inherit father's position. She gets right to the point. I heard you turn down the air talk. Were you trying to be considerate of me? Astor looks annoyed. He thinks it is troublesome that his father told her and says that was not his intention. He explains, I just do not think I am qualified for it yet. Kudo starts walking away. Honestly, father and Astor both. She turns her back to him, knowing my dream and still being so cruel. Astor looks genuinely shocked by her words. And then a flash of blue energy comes flying right at him. Kudo just swung her sword, slicing a massive tree trunk clean in half. This falling tree forces Astor to leap out of the way. He lands and yells at her. What are you doing so suddenly, sister? She stands in the clearing. Let us see, your big sister will test you after all this time. She gives him a wild grin. Next, I am coming at you for real. Man, sibling rivalry is intense in this family. Astor panics. He tells his sister to wait, saying the sword is still incomplete, but she is not having it. Could you make the same excuse to an enemy on the battlefield? Astor repeats the word enemy, and then a grin spreads across his face. Kudo gets into her stance. She says a knight is always ready for battle and warns him not to hold back. She unleashes a massive slash that tears up the ground. Astor thinks this is no joke. He is already struggling just to control his magic as she flies towards him, but he knows he has no choice. Red energy begins to swirl around him. He thinks she is actually going to kill him as their swords are about to clash. Their blades meet in a massive explosion of energy that rips through the forest. Kudo is impressed. Your sword skills are as sharp as ever. She says he can keep up with her even after night school. But then she mocks his weapon. However, what is that excuse for a sword? She yells that he has absolutely no control over his magic. He stumbles back, barely dodging her relentless assault. He grits his teeth. You really do not hold back, do you, Sister Kudo? A thought bubble appears, saying she has always been like that. We get a flashback to a younger Kudo, angry because Asura is the only son with inheritance rights. A younger Asura thinks it is because he is special, with a wing crest better than anyone else in the family. He remembers her as a storm who picks fights over anything. He calls her his natural enemy. Back in the present, Kudo's sword slams into the ground, creating a crater. A close-up on Asura's eye. He thinks that is expected. She is not holding back. Their swords clash again in a blinding flash of blue and red light. Kudo screams at him, "You are not fit to be the next head." Damn, there it is, back in the mansion. Marfa watches from a window. She calls out to her father. She asks if he is sure it was okay to leave them alone. Worst case, that brother-sister fight could end with a corpse, you know. This Viscount just says they are good rivals. He believes they can be reckless, but it will not go that far. This white-haired sister looks worried. I hope you are right. She asks her father why he called them back from night school, and if it was just about the successor. This Viscount says no as he reaches into a wooden box. His daughter looks completely shocked. What is this? He places a letter on the desk. It is a summons from the Elmheim main house. He says the old men running the house want to see their grandchildren's faces. This sister looks down. That is a pretty serious matter. Her father agrees with a grim expression. He finishes his thought, lose a store. Damn, that is not good. Meanwhile, Asura and his red-haired sister Kudo are sparring intensely in the woods. Asura yells, do not be ridiculous. He turned down the successor talk. You heard that too, did not you, sister? Kudo swings her sword with incredible force. And I am telling you that is exactly what I am not okay with. Their swords clash, and Asura thinks to himself that she is heavy. He says it is like fighting a troll swinging a giant hammer. Asura grips his sword hilt, red energy crackling around his hand. He barely manages to block her powerful overhead strike. He struggles against her strength, trying to get her to listen to him. Kudo glares down at him. You just tried to run away, did not you? She unleashes a massive blast of energy that sends him flying backwards. Asura lands hard, grunting about her brute strength. Her sword slams into the ground. Draw your sword. If you only swing a sword, you are third-rate. She continues her lecture. If you can handle magic too, you are second-rate. She stands alone in the clearing. Only by mastering both sword and magic are you finally first-rate. She looks at him with pure disappointment. You are such a disappointment. Asura, geez, that is cold. She explains that the difference in wing crests is the amount of magic you can handle, and one wing is a threefold difference. She says he is avoiding a straight contest of strength and just running away. She smirks at him. Do you really trust your own strength that little? She asks if he is afraid he will lose control again like 3 years ago. Ouch, Asura's eye widens. He thinks about being afraid of the power of his 7 wings. He realizes that thought had never crossed his mind. He was unconsciously putting a limiter on his own power. He wonders if the sword feels stable because he has been forcing his magic down too hard. Kudo's blue aura flares. Asura, you have everything I wanted but never had. She says if he is just going to waste that good fortune, it will only make him arrogant. She screams at him to hand it all over to her and lunges forward. Asura just holds up his bladeless sword to block her attack. A massive shockwave of red and blue energy erupts from the clash. Kudo is completely stunned. He repelled my full force strike. Asura just grins, his eyes glowing gold. Thanks, sister, you woke me up. He charges forward without even forming a blade on his sword. Kudo thinks he must have run out of magic, but then says as if that would happen. Asura knows the 7 wings conceal an inexhaustible well of magic. He thinks he cannot control it all now, but for one instant he can focus it at the moment of impact. Kudo smirks, realizing he thought it through in his own way. Asura thinks to himself, I did not get the second life by chance just to throw it away. This 7-wing crest glows on his back through his shirt. He thinks about his power and his family. He remembers his new family. He thinks this sword and this life are things he could never have obtained before. Kudo is confused. She asks what he means by a second life. A blade of pure red energy erupts from Asura's hilt. He says that is why. He swings the blade with incredible speed, a blur of red and black. This tip of his energy blade stops right in front of Kudo's face. She is completely frozen. Kudo is stunned as the red energy blade disappears right before her eyes. It vanished. Asura clutches his chest as red magic swirls around him. I will not be holding back anymore. A close-up on Kudo's eye. She is absolutely terrified, and Asura unleashes a furious red slash, his eyes glowing with power. Sometime later, Kudo wakes up in bed looking completely disoriented. She looks around the sunlit room, wondering if she is in her own room. A voice asks from the side, Oh, you are finally awake. It is her sister Marfa standing by the window. That took a while. Kudo sits up in a panic. Wait, what about the match? What happened with my match against Asura? Marfa just smiles. Asura carried you here, showing a flashback of him giving her a piggyback ride. She says he told everyone she fell asleep from being tired after her journey. Man, what a cover story. Kudo sits on the edge of her bed. That is not right. She remembers the final moment, thinking that Asura was about to cut her down, but she realizes he actually dispelled his magic blade just before it hit, and it was only the leftover magic that passed through her, knocking her out. She thinks to herself that of course her brother would not actually kill her. But in that moment, she genuinely believed he was going to end her. Damn, she cracks a small smile. What an infuriating little brother. She grabs her sword, asking Marfa where Asura is right now. She stands up, ready for a rematch. I refuse to accept that match, but Marfa calmly interrupts her. Asura already left, you know. Kudo just freezes. What? Marfa explains that Asura was summoned by the main house and just left with their father. Kudo looks completely floored by the news. She yells out over a view of the capital. What? Nobody told me anything like that. A carriage makes its way down a cobblestone road. Inside, Asura just stares out the window, lost in thought. His father explains who they are going to meet. The elder lords who support the Elmheim family from the shadows. These are the shadow rulers, the fixers, and their castle looks just as ominous as their title. This Viscount wonders why they would summon Asura now, after showing no interest in him for 10 years. Asura has a pretty good idea, probably because of what happened at the sword dance gathering. He says he heard the Elmheim elders value their reputation above all else, and anyone who stains that reputation gets thrown into the beast cages as feed. Man, he knows this from personal experience. His father looks stunned, asking where he heard such a horrible story. Asura just deflects, somewhere long ago. He says he is prepared for exile at least. This Viscount changes the subject, asking if it was okay to leave without saying goodbye to his sisters. Asura says it is fine. He was supposed to leave when they arrived anyway. He even jokes that Kudo will probably be more relaxed without him around. But he holds his sword, saying that thanks to her, he has a better handle on Graham now. He feels he can draw out more of his power, and tells his father not to rescue him no matter what happens. This Viscount is furious. Asura, you, what do you mean on your own, acting so high and mighty when you are the youngest? But their argument is cut short as the carriage door flies open. Asura's eye widens in complete shock. It is Kudo hanging onto the side of the moving carriage. Sister Kudo, why are you here? She leaps into the carriage, and Asura asks if she ran all the way here. She lands inside. How cruel, leaving without a single word to your big sister. She says she knows the main house summoned him. Their father tries to tell her she cannot come with them, but Kudo just sits down next to Asura. I know, she says she understands they were called back to watch the house. She looks at her brother. But this summons means things are dangerous enough to be that cautious. She finishes her thought. Sister Marfa said it, did not she, that Asura might not come back? Geez, the whole family is worried. Asura just smiles. That is an exaggeration. I am just going to meet and talk with them. He adds that coming back safely is another story. Kudo points right at him. Listen, Asura, I really dislike you. Damn, straight to the point. She says it is because he is male, has 7 wings, and always gets special treatment. She hates that he is stronger than her and that he acts so grown-up despite being her little brother. But then her tone changes. But even so, you're my precious family. She says no matter how strong or mature he acts, he's still her little brother. She puts a hand on his shoulder. So come back home properly and let us have another match. She gives him a parting grin. I will not let you get away with winning and running. And just like that, she leaps out of the moving carriage, as you do. Asura wonders what she even came for. His father just says she is a good rival. Our boy just smiles to himself. But thank you, sister. Kudo waves goodbye as the carriage pulls away, promising she will definitely be back. Sometime later, Asura and the Viscount arrive at a massive gate. A voice welcomes Lord Hifried. A guard informs them that the elder lords are already waiting inside. This Viscount says he knows the way, but the guard stops him. We have been ordered to bring the two of you together without fail. They are surrounded. The Viscount realizes this is not a friendly family reunion. Asura's eyes just narrow with determination. Still, he looks up at the imposing castle under a red sky, thinking it is nostalgic to be in his old home. As they walk, his father warns him, I am sure you understand this, Asura, but today of all days, do not lose your cool, all right. He tells him not to react no matter what they say, but Asura replies, that depends on how they act. This Viscount looks worried. He says that they is exactly the problem. Asura looks over at him, asking what he means. His father thinks about the training knights, noting that Daris is not here and that he will not be back soon with a wrecked arm. This Viscount tries to get his son's attention. Are you listening, Asura? Asura snaps out of it, looking a little flustered. Yes, of course. Man, he was totally spacing out. Asura says he will be as quiet as a clam and that his sister told him to come back safely. A pair of massive doors creak open, revealing a foreboding red glow. A guard announces their arrival. Lord Hifried and his son have been brought as requested. An old voice echoes through the hall. So you have finally come. Has it been over 10 years? A close-up on the old man's eye, he addresses his grandson, Hifried. Viscount Hifried kneels respectfully. It has been a long time, 6th head, he corrects himself, calling the man his great and revered grandfather. Asura thinks to himself, that is the monster lurking in Elmheim's shadow. This is Zenith Elmheim, the 6th head of the main family, and yeah, he looks the part. Asura sees the room is filled with former heads of branch families and other bigwigs. He even recognizes a few faces from that sword dance gathering. But our boy only has one question on his mind. Is Rodrick here? This old man answers his unspoken thought. That one is not present, boy. He explains that Rodrick is the commander of the Royal Knights, and he has no time to be bothered with mundane affairs. Astor thinks that in his past life he never even saw this man, but this gathering is suspicious. Viscount Hifried asks what these mundane affairs are. Zenith just laughs, saying he heard Hifried's little pet mutt caused a mess at the gathering. We get a flashback to Astor being blasted by Roderick's power. Astor's golden eyes just narrow. He knows where this is going. His father tries to downplay it, saying Roderick settled the matter and it was just for show. But another old man chimes in, saying the Elmheim name was tarnished and adopting Astor was a mistake. He says now that Astor has bared his fangs, exile is the only answer and his father will be punished too. Astor leaps to his feet. Please wait, I did all of it on my own. He yells that his father had nothing to do with it, trying to take all the blame. Viscount Hifried just trembles, unable to say a word. Astor glances over at his father, a bead of sweat on his cheek. Zenith scolds him. It seems he truly lacks discipline for a child to try to butt into an adult conversation. He boasts, we command 12,000 knights under our banner, he continues, and carry the name Elmheim on our backs, but the knights are not a single, unified mass. He says countless people are eyeing the top seat like hungry tigers, and that some of them are surely in this very room. This old man slams his staff down. We simply want peace of mind, proof that you are not a threat to Elmheim. He holds out a sword to the Viscount, who looks on in shock. This sword glows with a sinister red aura. Do you remember when you failed to protect your liege and dragged the Elmheim name through the mud? He reminds him. Rodrick cut off your arm in this very chamber. Damn, that is a low blow. Zenith's eye glows red with malice. This time, sever that boy's head. Astor's golden eye widens in pure terror, but his father stands firm. I refuse. Zenith says they will overlook the incident if he does it. This Viscount declares, I would sooner gladly take my own life than cut down my own child. Astor is completely stunned. Zenith just looks down from his throne. I see. He raises his staff. In that case, he passes judgment. You may die, your wife, your daughters, and that boy there, every last one. He laughs maniacally. By the end of today, the Viscount house will be no more, and the guards charge in an instant. Astor and his father are surrounded by knights with swords drawn, but Astor steps forward. What are you so afraid of, old man? Zenith looks genuinely surprised by the question. What? Astor calls them all pathetic. Grown adults huddling together and trembling, pathetic. If you're that scared of getting bitten by your own dog, then exile me or kill me, whichever you like. He grips the pendant on his uniform. But if you intend to lay a hand on my family, his father just stares at him, completely shocked by his son's defiance. Astor thinks to himself, I am sorry, father. He knew he was no good at keeping his mouth shut. A guard in the hall is completely stunned. What is that? This seven-winged crest on Astor's back is glowing a brilliant red. That crest on his back, Zenith warns him, if you do, these seven wings will become Elmheim's enemy. He tells Astor to think very carefully about that, but our boy just glares back. This elders are in an uproar. Impossible, that is a seven-winged crest. Another old man says that Mark has not appeared on a human for hundreds of years. Asking if it is a fake. This man who wanted Astor exiled is sweating bullets. He knows that crest is unmistakably real. Zenith just looks down at him. Boy. He asks if Astor understands what it means to show that crest here and now. Astor just smirks. I do. He says the more wings you have, the more people freak out, right? A man with long, light blue hair just starts laughing from his chair. He waves a hand. My bad, please go on. Man, this guy is enjoying the show. Zenith begins to explain. Wing crests are magic organs given to humans long ago by spirits. He says that by passing the power down through generations, humans have deepened that strength, but no one has ever reached seven wings except for the clan of spirits who are the source of all wing crests. Astor asks the obvious question. Are you saying I belong to that spirit clan? Zenith says that if his seven wings are genuine, then perhaps. This guards turn their swords on Viscount Hifried, surrounding him completely, but Astor just states a fact. I am the Viscount's son. He says he does not care where he was born. What I want to know now is whether you are ready to make me your enemy. He lays out his threat if Elmheim casts him out. Other knightly houses will be eager to welcome a seven wings. He says he would become a massive threat to them, a power that could even surpass Duke Rodrick.